Sometimes silence isn't distance. It's pressure building beneath the surface, and when it finally speaks, it changes everything. You ever wonder, my friends, how someone can crave you like air one moment and vanish into silence the next? How can they watch your stories, linger around your energy, yet say nothing? It's confusing, isn't it? You feel it in your gut. They still want you. You can sense it in the tension, in the way their name still feels alive in your chest. But their silence, that's what drives you crazy. Before we go deep into this, press that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay with me till the end, because what I'm about to share might completely flip how you see this whole situation. Hey folks, imagine this. You're walking through a forest, and you hear thunder in the distance. The air gets heavy, the wind pauses, everything goes silent. But you know what's coming next. A storm. That's how silence works sometimes. It's not emptiness, it's energy gathering power. When someone goes silent while craving you, it's not always because they've stopped caring. Sometimes it's because they're feeling too much and don't know how to hold it without losing control. People think silence means indifference. They think if they cared, they'd call. If they missed me, they'd text. But here's the truth, nobody tells you. Sometimes the ones who crave you the most are the ones running the fastest. They're scared of the pull, the mirror you hold up to their own emotions. They crave your calm, your depth, your energy, but they don't feel ready to match it. So they hide behind silence, pretending not to care, hoping to feel in control again. It's like watching someone stare at the sun. They love the warmth, but it's too bright for them to handle, so they look away. Not because they don't love the light, but because it burns to look too long. And here's where most people get it wrong. You start chasing, explaining, filling the silence with noise, thinking your words can fix what their fear created. But you can't talk someone into emotional maturity, my friends. You can only stand still long enough for them to feel the loss of your presence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Silence is a lesson learned from the many sufferings of life." And that's true. Silence tests you. It asks, will you break trying to be understood, or will you learn to stand strong in not being explained? Because when someone pulls away, your reaction reveals your strength. Their silence isn't the problem, your fear of it is. Think of yourself as the moon. You don't chase the sun when it disappears. You shine anyway. That's what emotional strength looks like. It's knowing that craving you is their storm to handle, not your job to calm. You're not here to beg for attention or decode their silence like a mystery. You're here to remain rooted, radiant, and untouchable. Because silence doesn't steal your value. It only exposes theirs. And if you're sitting there right now, wondering whether they'll come back, let me tell you something. The ones who truly crave your energy always return to it. But this time, they'll return to a version of you that no longer needs their noise to feel whole. So stay with me, because in this video, we're going to uncover what silence really means, what it hides, what it reveals, and how to respond with the kind of calm power that makes them rethink everything. This isn't about revenge or games. It's about emotional mastery, the kind that makes peace look more attractive than chaos. Say this with me and write it in the comments. I choose peace over panic. Let them hear it. Let yourself feel it, because your silence is not weakness. It's wisdom. Number one, the hidden meaning behind their silence. Silence isn't absence. It's emotion hiding behind pride. It hits hard, doesn't it, my friends? That strange emptiness when someone who once couldn't go a single night without hearing your voice suddenly goes quiet. You check your phone. Nothing. You scroll through your messages, still nothing. But deep down, you feel it. They haven't stopped caring. You sense it like static in the air before a storm. Their silence doesn't feel peaceful. It feels charged, unfinished, heavy. It's as if something inside them wants to speak, but can't. Imagine this. You're standing near a cliff, and someone you care about is on the other side. You can see the fear in their eyes. They want to reach you, but the bridge between you is made of glass. One wrong step, and it could shatter. That's how their silence works. They crave connection, but they're terrified of falling into vulnerability, falling into emotions they can't control, falling into the truth that they still care more than they'd like to admit. And so they stay quiet, pretending not to feel, pretending not to want. But silence, my friends, is rarely empty. It's a wall built by people who don't know how to say, "I'm scared to need you this much." You see, people think silence equals indifference. If they wanted me, they'd talk. That's what you tell yourself while staring at your screen. But what if that's the biggest lie you've been sold? What if silence doesn't always mean they've moved on? What if it means they're at war with themselves? When someone craves you but stays silent, it's often because you represent something bigger than affection. You represent emotional truth. And emotional truth is uncomfortable. It exposes the cracks in their armor, the parts they've hidden even from themselves. You might have triggered something they've been avoiding, maybe the feeling of being seen too clearly, maybe the memory of being hurt before. As the Stoics said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Their mind isn't quiet, it's a battlefield. They're thinking, what if I reach out and get ignored? What if they've moved on? What if they don't feel the same anymore? The fear of rejection often screams louder than the craving itself. So instead of risking vulnerability, they retreat into silence, a false sense of safety. It's like watching a caged bird stare at the open door but refusing to fly. Freedom terrifies them more than captivity. They crave the sky, but they've been inside the cage for so long that the thought of flying feels dangerous. That's why their silence isn't rejection, it's hesitation. But here's where it gets tricky. You start believing their silence means you weren't enough. You start wondering, did I do something wrong? Did I come on too strong? Maybe I should have texted less, cared less, smiled less. Stop. That's the lie silence teaches you, that you have to shrink to be chosen. But listen closely, my friends. Your light didn't scare them. It exposed their shadows. Sometimes people retreat, not because you're too much, but because they see what they're not ready to face. You showed them depth in a world where everyone's used to shallow. You offered peace to someone addicted to chaos. You made them feel something real, and real demands courage. Courage they may not have yet. They think silence gives them control. It's easier to ghost than to admit, I still think about you. It's easier to pretend calm than to say, you're in my mind more than I want you to be. But silence doesn't protect them. It haunts them, because what we suppress doesn't disappear. It grows heavier in the quiet. Here's the truth they won't say out loud. They crave your presence, but fear your power. They want the peace you bring, but they're not ready for what that peace will change in them. Craving you means surrendering ego, control, and the illusion of safety. And for people ruled by fear, surrender feels like death. Epictetus once said, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about things." Their silence isn't about you, it's about their judgment of what wanting you means. They may see craving as weakness, connection as risk, vulnerability as exposure. But the more they run, the louder their silence becomes. You, on the other hand, must learn to see silence differently. It's not a verdict, it's information. It tells you where they are emotionally, not where your worth stands. Their silence is their mirror, not your reflection. Let that sink in. Think of silence like a fog. You can't chase it away by running into it. You only lose yourself trying. But if you stay still, patient, grounded, eventually the fog lifts and everything becomes clear again. I know it's hard. You want closure, you want clarity, you want to know why. You replay moments, trying to decode the sudden quiet. But the truth is, closure doesn't always come from conversations. Sometimes it comes from comprehension. You don't need them to explain their silence when you already understand what it means. They're not emotionally ready for what you awaken in them. And that's not your burden to carry. Let this be the moment you stop chasing words and start reading energy. Their silence tells you they're still fighting their own reflection, and your calm tells the universe you've already made peace with yours. So instead of wondering, why did they go quiet, ask yourself, why am I still giving their silence a voice inside my head? Don't let their fear dictate your worth. Don't let their absence turn into your anxiety. The ones who truly crave you will return when their pride breaks under the weight of missing you. And when they do, they'll find a different version of you, one that no longer waits for noise to validate value. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In this case, the best response to silence is serenity. Stay calm, stay unbothered, stay radiant, because when you stop reacting, you stop being controlled. So, write this in the comments. My calm speaks louder than their silence. Say it like you mean it. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that your peace is not negotiable. And stay with me, my friends, because what's coming next will open your eyes to the deeper psychology of why they crave you even more when you stop chasing their quiet. Number 2, when desire fights fear. They want to hold you, but they're scared of what happens when they do. My friends, desire and fear often live in the same heartbeat. They crave your touch, your energy, your presence, yet they pull away the moment they feel too close. You can almost see it in their eyes, can't you? That flicker of warmth followed by a flash of panic. It's like standing in front of a fire you built together. They love the heat, but are terrified of getting burned. Here's what nobody tells you. Craving someone isn't always beautiful. Sometimes it's terrifying. When they crave you, they're not just drawn to you, they're confronted by themselves. You stir up feelings they thought they buried. You awaken emotions they've numbed for years. And for someone who's spent their whole life hiding behind emotional armor, that kind of intensity feels like danger. Imagine a person standing at the edge of the ocean. They want to dive in, they really do, but the water looks endless, deep, unpredictable. They dip a toe, feel the pull of the current, and panic. They retreat, convincing themselves they're safer on shore. That's what their silence is. It's not a lack of desire, it's a fear of drowning in it. They tell themselves stories to justify the distance. I need space. I'm not ready. I don't want to get hurt again. But underneath those excuses lies one truth. They feel too much, too fast. And in a world that worships control, losing yourself in emotion feels like weakness. So they silence themselves, not because they don't want you, but because they do, deeply, painfully, overwhelmingly. You remind them of what they can't control, and control is the only thing that keeps their ego feeling safe. They crave the calm you bring, but their mind whispers, "What if I lose myself here?" Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality," and that's exactly what's happening inside them. They imagine rejection, abandonment, disappointment before it even happens. They build walls out of fear and call it boundaries. They convince themselves that silence is strength when, in truth, it's surrender to their own insecurity. Here's the cruel paradox. The more they crave you, the more they fear the vulnerability that comes with wanting you. You've probably noticed how they peek into your life, liking a story, watching from the shadows, sending mixed signals that keep you wondering. That's not indifference, that's fear playing dress-up as control. They want to text you, they really do, but their pride whispers, "Don't look desperate." They want to call, but their fear screams, "What if they don't answer?" So they sit in silence, pretending they don't care, while every quiet minute pulls them deeper into the craving they refuse to admit. And here's where most people make the mistake. They try to fix that fear with reassurance. They over-explain, overreach, overgive, but you can't soothe what's not yours to heal. You can't calm a storm that's raging inside their own heart. You see, real connection scares those who have only known survival. When you offer peace, they don't recognize it because peace feels foreign to people who've only ever known chaos. They'll say they want love, but when love shows up calm, patient, and steady, they confuse it for boredom. They crave the adrenaline of uncertainty, the drama of confusion, the thrill of the chase, until they meet someone who doesn't play. That's when their desire meets its biggest enemy. Stillness. Your stillness exposes their fear. Your composure reminds them that love doesn't have to be chaos, and that, my friends, terrifies them because it forces them to question everything they thought they knew about connection. So when they go quiet, don't assume it's rejection, it's reflection. They're looking in the mirror of your calm and realizing how much work they still have to do. They're asking themselves questions they've avoided for years. Why do I run from what feels real? Why do I crave connection but sabotage it when it comes? And yes, it's going to be hard to watch. It's painful to love someone who's scared to love you back. But remember, fear doesn't mean lack of feeling. It means lack of readiness. You can't teach readiness. You can only embody stability so powerfully that they either rise to meet you or fall away trying to avoid it. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." That's the Stoic way. Endure the silence, not as punishment, but as proof of your strength. You are not here to chase fear, you're here to hold peace. Because when desire fights fear, peace always wins in the long run. So let them sit in their silence. Let them face the discomfort they've been running from. You stay grounded, you stay golden, and watch how silence becomes their teacher, not your tormentor. Say this with me in the comments: I don't chase fear, I embody peace. Show them that your calm isn't a game, it's power. Show yourself that silence doesn't mean you've lost, it means you've mastered patience. And stay with me, my friends, because what's coming next will show you exactly how their silence turns into craving. The kind that keeps them awake at night, wondering how they ever thought they could let you go. Number 3, the ego's war with vulnerability. The ego would rather lose love than admit it's afraid. That line, my friends, says everything, because this is where most of them get trapped. They don't just go silent because they stopped caring. They go silent because caring exposes something they can't control, their vulnerability. And the ego? It hates that feeling. The ego wants to be admired, not exposed. It wants to be in charge, not challenged. It wants to be seen as powerful, not emotional. And that's where the war begins. The war between their craving and their pride. Imagine this. They're standing at the edge of an emotional cliff. Below them is the depth of everything real: love, connection, surrender, truth. Above them, the wind whispers, "Jump, it's safe." But their ego screams louder, "Don't you dare. You'll fall. You'll lose control," so they freeze. They crave the warmth of the connection, but they fear the fall that vulnerability demands. That's why you'll see this strange contradiction. They want you, but they act like they don't. They feel you, but they pretend they're fine. Here's the truth that hurts a little. People hide behind pride because they think it protects them. But in reality, pride doesn't protect, it imprisons. It builds invisible walls that keep others out and loneliness in. They think silence makes them strong, but it only proves how fragile their sense of control really is. They crave you, but to admit it means surrender. It means letting go of the performance. It means saying, "You affect me more than I expected." And for someone whose identity depends on appearing unbothered, that's terrifying. They've been trained by culture, by pain, by past rejection, to believe that showing emotion equals weakness. So when their heart begins to open, the ego rushes in to shut it down. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. But most people flip that truth. They try to control the outside, the timing, the distance, the silence, while completely losing control of their inner peace. That's what's happening to them. Their ego is scrambling to keep its grip on illusion. The illusion of indifference, the illusion of dominance, the illusion of safety. And let's be honest, we've all done it, haven't we? We've all sent that cold message to prove we didn't care. We've all acted busy when in reality our minds were screaming their name. We've all worn the mask of control while quietly craving connection. The difference is, some of us outgrow that stage. Some of us realize that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the highest form of strength. But those who haven't yet learned that lesson, they cling to ego like a shield made of glass, transparent, fragile, and destined to shatter. Think about this. The sun doesn't hide its light because someone might squint. The ocean doesn't hold back its waves because someone might drown. But people ruled by ego dim their light, restrain their emotion, and call it strength. It's not strength, my friends. It's fear dressed in armor. That's why you must never take their silence personally. It's not about you being too much. It's about them being too afraid. You're not intimidating, you're illuminating. You've exposed a part of them they've been avoiding for years, and now their ego is scrambling to survive the exposure. It says, stay quiet, don't text, don't show weakness, but deep inside, the craving grows stronger, because the heart doesn't care about ego games. It just wants connection. They may look calm, but their silence is not peace, it's pressure. They might look detached, but every quiet night echoes with the words they never said. The Stoics would call this self-conflict, the battle between reason and impulse, truth and illusion. And until they learn to face themselves, they'll keep running from what they actually want. You, on the other hand, must rise above this war. Don't let their ego drag you into reaction. Don't chase noise with more noise. Let them fight their own battle while you stay grounded in clarity. Because here's the thing, silence from ego always breaks before calm from strength does. They might try to convince themselves they've moved on, but time has a funny way of humbling pride. One quiet morning, they'll scroll past your name, and that stillness they once weaponized will turn into the loudest regret they've ever felt. Because ego wins the argument, but it always loses the heart. So if you find yourself missing their presence, remind yourself of this truth. You are not losing them. They are losing peace by running from it. You stood in truth. You loved with courage. They hid behind illusion. And illusion always collapses. Let this be your power, not your pain. You don't need to prove your worth through chasing silence or decoding games. Your calm is your proof. Your peace is your statement. Say this with me, my friends, and write it in the comments. My peace doesn't fear their pride. Let them see it. Let the world feel it. Because the day they drop their ego and face their heart, they'll realize what you already knew. Vulnerability doesn't break you. It builds you. And in the next part, we'll uncover exactly how silence becomes their illusion of control, and how your stillness quietly dismantles it, piece by piece. Number 4, emotional withdrawal, the illusion of control. Control is the mask people wear when they're terrified of being seen. My friends, this is where the game begins, not the kind played with words or texts, but the one played in silence. When they pull away, it's rarely because they've stopped feeling. It's because they're trying to control what they feel. They think disappearing will give them power. They think silence will give them leverage. But the truth? It's just fear dressed up as confidence. Imagine a child holding a balloon. They're scared it might float away, so they grip it tighter and tighter until it pops. That's exactly what emotional withdrawal is. They're scared of losing control, so they grip their emotions so tightly that they end up destroying what was soft, beautiful, and alive between you. They think, if I pull back first, I can't be abandoned. They think, if I stop showing interest, I won't look weak. They think, if I stay silent, maybe they'll miss me more. But what they don't realize is that silence built on fear doesn't create attraction, it creates emptiness. They mistake withdrawal for strength because it gives them a false sense of control. But as Seneca once said, he who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself is mightier still. And that's where the truth cuts deep. Emotional withdrawal doesn't prove mastery, it exposes lack of it. When someone truly has self-control, they can communicate calmly, express emotions with clarity, and still hold boundaries with grace. But when someone disappears, ghosts, or manipulates with silence, that's not control, that's avoidance. That's immaturity pretending to be strength. They crave you, but they want to control when and how they feel that craving. They want connection, but only on their terms, so they disappear, thinking their absence makes them powerful. They believe that if they pull away, you'll chase, and your chase will feed their ego. But here's the plot twist. Silence works only when you react to it. The moment you don't, their illusion of control collapses. Because what they truly wanted wasn't power, it was reassurance. They just didn't have the courage to ask for it directly. Picture this, someone standing in front of a mirror, playing tug-of-war with their own reflection. That's what emotional withdrawal looks like. They pull away, expecting you to move closer. But when you stay still, they start pulling against themselves. Their ego tells them to stay quiet, but their heart starts screaming, "Why aren't they chasing me?" That's when their silence becomes louder than your absence. They might even convince themselves they're testing you. If they care, they'll reach out. But here's where the Stoic truth hits hard. The one who truly holds power never needs to test loyalty. They inspire it through peace. When you don't react to their withdrawal, you remove the very fuel their ego feeds on. Because silence as a tactic only works when it creates chaos in you. But when your energy stays calm, their illusion burns itself out. That's when they realize they were never controlling you. They were being controlled by fear the whole time. They'll replay the moments, the times you used to respond instantly, the conversations that used to flow easily. They'll remember the emotional security they once had with you, and slowly, that fake sense of control they built through silence will start to feel like loneliness. The high they got from withholding contact will fade, replaced by the ache of distance. You see, control built on fear is like holding sand in your hand. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. They thought silence would make you chase. Instead, it made them face themselves. And that's the one opponent the ego never wins against, the mirror. And I know, my friends, watching someone you care about withdraw hurts. You feel the emptiness, like a room that used to echo with laughter, but now holds only quiet. You wonder, should I reach out? Should I remind them what we had? But no, because the moment you chase silence, you teach it that it works. True strength is learning to hold your position even when it feels unbearable, because your peace is not a negotiation tool, it's your protection. Don't let their fear of losing control make you lose your balance. Let them think they're winning by pulling away. The universe has a funny way of humbling pride. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength, and that's what you must remember when they withdraw. Don't try to control what they do. Master what you do next. Their silence is their illusion. Your stillness is your reality. So let them play quietly, let them test, let them wonder, because while they're busy pretending not to care, you'll be mastering the one skill they never learned, peace. Say this with me and write it in the comments. Their silence doesn't move me. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that you're not chasing illusions, you're building inner peace. And stay with me, my friends, because what's coming next will show you how your calm silence becomes the mirror that makes them see what they've been running from all along, themselves. Number 5, the mirror effect, what your silence reflects back. When you stop speaking, they finally hear themselves. My friends, there's something hauntingly powerful about silence, not the kind that comes from anger or spite, but the kind that comes from understanding. That's the silence that transforms everything, because when you go quiet, truly quiet, you don't just disappear from their world, you become the mirror that forces them to face their own reflection. They thought your silence meant they'd won. They believed they had the upper hand, that you'd break first, that you'd reach out, that you'd fill the emptiness they created. But the longer you remain calm, the more uncomfortable they become. Because what they start to hear in that quiet isn't your voice, it's their own thoughts echoing back at them. Imagine standing in a hall of mirrors. Everywhere you turn, you see yourself. Every angle, every flaw, every shadow. That's what happens to them when your silence sets in. They're forced to see what they've done, what they've avoided, what they ran from. And here's the twist. It's not your absence that hurts them, it's their reflection in that absence. You see, when you used to respond quickly, they didn't have to face their guilt. When you kept the connection alive, they could pretend they still had control. But your silence breaks that illusion. It tells them, I'm no longer your emotional safety net. And that, my friends, is where their craving starts to eat them alive. At first, they'll pretend it doesn't bother them. They'll act unbothered, post their little stories, maybe even talk to other people to prove a point. But the truth? Every post, every distraction, every laugh they force is just an echo trying to fill the sound of your missing energy. Because the human mind can't stand a void, and you created one. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And your silence exposes exactly that, their lack of mastery. They can't handle not being responded to. They can't stand not being in control of your emotions. They crave the comfort of knowing you still care, even if they were the ones who broke the connection. Your stillness denies them that comfort. And that denial? It's a mirror they can't look away from. You've probably noticed this pattern before. The moment you stop reaching out, they reappear, suddenly curious, suddenly nostalgic. They'll test the waters with a small text, a like, a random message pretending it's casual. But deep down, it's not casual. It's panic. Your silence showed them something terrifying, that your world doesn't revolve around them. When you go quiet, they start replaying everything they once dismissed. Every kind word you said, every time you listened, every time you showed up when no one else did. And now, that silence starts whispering, "You had something real, and you lost it." It's funny, isn't it? The same silence they once used as a weapon becomes the silence that wounds them. That's the mirror effect. Because real strength doesn't chase, it reflects. It doesn't beg for clarity, it becomes the clarity. You've stopped explaining yourself, and now every quiet second becomes a reminder of what they took for granted. They'll start to question things they never questioned before. Were they really over me? Did they move on? Did I matter at all? And that's where the power of your silence lies. It transfers the confusion back where it belongs. You no longer live in their uncertainty, they live in yours. This is where you rise above, my friends. Don't break your silence out of boredom, loneliness, or nostalgia. Let it serve its purpose, because silence, when used with peace, becomes your loudest truth. It says, "I'm not angry. I'm not begging. I'm just done explaining why my peace matters more than your inconsistency." Remember what Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When your thoughts are calm, your silence glows. It becomes magnetic. People can sense peace. They crave it, even if they don't understand it. And when they finally face the contrast between your calm and their chaos, they start to see who truly lost control. They may try to come back, not because they're ready to love deeply, but because they want the comfort of your presence again. But this time, you'll see it clearly. Silence wasn't a punishment. It was a filter. It separated those who wanted your energy from those who only wanted to consume it. So when their reflection begins to haunt them, don't break your stillness to ease their discomfort. Let them face themselves, because that's where real growth begins, not in your words, but in their realization. Your silence says, "You no longer have access to the parts of me you took for granted." It says, "I've outgrown the version of me that begged for attention." So, write this in the comments, my friends. My silence is my mirror. Let it be your reminder. Let it be your declaration, because your calm reflection is teaching them more than your words ever could. And stay with me, because what's coming next will show you how your energy, when fully grounded in Stoic calm, becomes not just a mirror, but a force that reshapes how they see themselves and how they start to chase what they once ran from. Number 6. The Stoic rule of energy conservation. Don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. That quote burns, doesn't it, my friends? Because deep down, you know you've done it before. You've poured your energy into people who gave you drops in return. You've texted, reached out, explained, forgave, all while they gave silence and confusion. You thought love meant trying harder. You thought patience would make them stay. But here's the truth the Stoics lived by. Energy is sacred. and giving it to someone who's not ready to receive it doesn't make you kind, it makes you empty. You see, when they go silent, your first instinct is to fill the space, to fix it, to understand it, to keep the connection alive. But what if that silence is your invitation to rest? What if it's the universe's way of saying, stop giving what they're not ready to hold? Think of your energy like water in a cup. Every word, every thought, every act of love, it all pours from that cup. Now imagine pouring into someone whose hands are wide open but full of holes. No matter how much you give, it leaks away. That's why you feel drained. That's why you feel invisible. Because you've mistaken exhaustion for effort and silence for peace. The Stoic rule of energy conservation is simple. Never spend emotional energy on someone who treats it as infinite. They don't value what seems endless. They value what's measured, and your calm detachment is that measure. It's the moment they realize access to your energy isn't guaranteed. Seneca once said, "He who is everywhere is nowhere," meaning when your attention is scattered, your power dissolves. When you spread yourself too thin, trying to fix what's not yours to fix, you become invisible. But when you pull your energy back, when you redirect it to your own growth, your own peace, that's when you become magnetic again. Here's the paradox. When you stop chasing, your energy stops leaking, and suddenly the silence that once hurt you starts healing you. You begin to see clearly who deserves your presence and who only noticed your absence. You stop trying to be understood and start becoming unforgettable. Think about it. Energy never lies. When you're anxious, they feel it. When you're grounded, they feel that too. And people are drawn to grounded energy, the way the cold is drawn to warmth. But here's the trick. When your peace becomes consistent, their chaos no longer has power over you. That's when they start craving the calm they once took for granted. You've probably noticed it before. The moment you stop explaining yourself, they start asking questions. The moment you stop waiting, they start wondering. That's because your silence conserves not just your words, but your power. It shifts the dynamic from chasing to choosing. You're no longer chasing validation. You're choosing where your energy flows. But let's be real. Conserving your energy is hard when your heart still cares. You'll want to check in, to understand, to remind them of what you had. But every time you do, you water a plant that refuses to grow. The Stoic path asks you to sit with that discomfort, to let your care exist without needing to prove it. True strength is being able to say, I still wish them peace, but not at the expense of my own. And let me tell you, my friends, when you learn to do that, when you stop reacting to every withdrawal, every silence, every manipulation, you start to glow differently. Your energy becomes calm but commanding. People who once took you for granted start to feel the difference. They sense the shift, that they no longer have easy access to your presence, your empathy, your time. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one." And that's the key. Don't argue for your worth. Don't try to prove your loyalty. Just be grounded, calm, steady, because those who once drained your energy will come back, not because you begged, but because they finally realized peace doesn't chase noise. So from now on, every time you feel that urge to reach out, pause, take a breath, ask yourself, is this action giving energy or draining it? Because every response is an investment and not everyone deserves your currency. Remember this, your attention is power, your silence is currency. Your calm is the most intimidating energy in the world. Because when you stop giving freely, people start realizing how expensive your presence really was. So say this with me and write it in the comments. My energy is sacred. Say it like a promise. Show it in your actions. Let them feel it in your absence. Because the more you protect your energy, the more the universe surrounds you with people who deserve it. And stay with me, my friends, because in the next part, we'll uncover the exact moment when your calm silence turns into their craving, when they realize your energy isn't replaceable, and when they start chasing what they once took for granted.